thank you so much, panelists, for joining. So before I jump on to the questions, let me quickly talk about our topic. So today's topic is gauging the pulse of the organization using tech-led rewards and recognition. So today we're going to talk everything about rewards, recognition, engagement, and how these amazing panelists are doing great jobs in their amazing companies by driving a culture of recognition and better engagement. So with that, let me quickly introduce my panelists. We've got Hazel, who is the Human Resources Vice President at Concentrix. Welcome, Hazel. Hazel. We've got Jackelene, who is the Country HRAD Head, Gebbs Healthcare Solutions. Welcome, Jackelene. And we've got Clark, who is the Head of Digital Employee Experience at SM Supermalls. Welcome, Clark. So I'm going to start with a quick introduction. I think all of you we all know your names, we all know your companies, but we'd love to learn what are your key priorities you're driving in your organization today. What are the things you take care of? And we could start with Clark and then come right from there one by one.
Yes, good morning everyone. Thank you, Smiti. So to start, allow me to drop a quick note, so to speak, because SM is quite a big company, right? And I want to make sure that we're clear on where my team stands, right? The digital employee experience team at SM Supermalls, my team is a team that works on select projects across the broader SM Prime group, right? And of course, for today, I'll make sure that we speak about first-hand experiences that we've learned specific to SM Supermalls. Now, SM Supermalls has nearly 100 malls nationwide and abroad. We are in the business of developing vibrant spaces where families can connect, businesses can grow, and communities can thrive. That's very simple, that's very clear. Behind all of that is an equally clear people strategy that is centered around attracting, growing, and retaining top talent. And where the digital employee experience team comes in is we are here to provide that extra support to help teams transform how they transform with the help of analytics, automation, accelerated skilling, and even AI. So I loved your presentation, Smiti. Right up my alley, I love it. And yeah, that's very important for me to say because the core belief in SM Supermalls HR is that transformation cannot just be one thing that you outsource to one person or to one other team. It really has to be something that is deeply embedded in every leader, in every role across the organization there. Yeah, and that's a lot of talking from me, but yeah, glad to be here, excited to share what we've learned so far about SM.
Thanks, Clark, and absolutely agree on your thoughts on HR transformation. We're going to dig deep into that during the panel. Over to you, Jackie.
Oh, hi everyone. I'm Jackie Aquino. Most of the people that knows me calls me by that name. Okay, about my organization, I work in the healthcare industry. Been in the BPO space for more than 15 years, 28 years in HR. I am an advocate of HR tech, and I endorse some of the products in terms of how they can help organizations manage that, because I, technically manage to implement most of these tech introduction in the organization. Aside from that, I'm also an advocate of a well-balanced well-being. I'm a Spartan racer and a marathoner. So that is actually, putting some other things you do in life aside from work. So that's about me.
Nice. So I'm going to ask you later, about your marathons as well. Over to you, Hazel.
So my name is Hazel Banas. I'm the head of People Solutions in Concentrix Philippines. So Concentrix is actually both a service provider and a tech company. So we provide services to our clients as well as we develop our own solutions for our clients. We are the largest employer currently in the Philippines with over 100,000 game changers, or we call, as you commonly know, as employees. with over 50 sites across the whole Philippines. So, priorities, right? So, being the lead of a big organization requires me to be very strategic in everything that I do. Some of the priorities that I have put forward for 2025 includes fostering a culture of diversity, equity, and inclusion, a culture of recognition. We also focus on the well-being of our game changers. We have one of our culture is actually to take care of our game changers, and this has to be included in my priorities. And then lastly is the full transformation. I am very big in terms of automation, by the way. I have a degree. I have an engineering degree, and I became HR in my journey in my career. And so I think technology, process simplification is already very innate in me, and I consider that in everything that I do. And being a large organization, for us to be able to manage this scale, it requires us to have to transform the things that we do in our HR team.
That's amazing, Hazel. I also have a technology engineering degree, and I'm also in HR. So yay, two people who are techies
something in common.
driving innovation. Awesome. So since we're gonna start with you, Hazel, again. I think the big question is, what do employees want, right? So we're even in an era where we have so many different types of generations working with us. There used to be millennials and Gen Alpha, and now we have Gen Z, and we have the Gen Alphas and Betas who've come up as well. God only knows what they want. But what do employees want is a big question. So really it boils down to identifying the pulse of your organization. So how frequently does your organization, Concentrix, gauge the pulse? And I know you've got a large employee strength, so it's even harder for you guys. And how do you actually do that?
So we do have an annual survey which we call Your Voice, and this is the regular employee satisfaction survey which most companies have, right? So we do this annually. We utilize a tool that it's a survey tool, but also it's connected to our reporting or data infrastructure, such that the tool can provide visibility on the result of the survey to every individual leaders already, so that the HR team does not have to create specific reports for every leaders in our organization.
Great. How about you, Jackie? Do you have specific types of queries or questions you share with your employees to gauge the pulse of the company? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah. I think one thing that we try to assess is, first and foremost, before we even ask the question, what do you want, is we try to understand the generation of workers we have in the organization. We start with that, and then we start asking what type of questions. And the funny thing is, different generations have different interpretation of certain questions in every survey. So we need to be mindful of that whenever, we ask these questions. So what are the basic questions? I think, starting from what matters to them, in terms of, we have the Maslow's, and we've been taught about that, looking at the basic needs that an employee would have when you graduate in that pyramid, and asking about all these questions, and make sure some people would probably use Gallup 12 as part of their assessment in terms of engagement and retention. And from there, actually, it already itemizes what you need to know. And in that, you'll have a gauge on what's your next step for you.
Sounds good. How about you,
Yes, so the point of view for analytics in SM Supermalls is that we want to provide centralized intelligence so that we can enable localized execution. So we have a monthly employee net promoter score survey, and to manage survey fatigue, we do sampling for key tenure buckets. So that happens across the year. We're able to see the trends irrespective of seasonalities that may arise, right, quarter on quarter. In that particular instrument, which we work very hard on to put together and get agreement on, we index about 20 different retention factors. And we're also able to map different combinations of things that we know are important for employees over the next 12 months per tenure bucket. So that gives us a lot of insights that can then fuel our people strategies. And one of the things that we're very proud of, say this, when we meet with co-HR professionals, is that we're on our 5th year of year-on-year improvement in employee retention. So that's very good. We're very close to hitting single-digit attrition already. And from a hyper-retention standpoint, we are consistently we're consistently above global benchmark. So, yeah.
Very nice. So what I'm hearing from all the three of you is, one, it is important to have like at least an annual, if not a quarterly survey, right? Where it is important to gauge that pulse and understand what employees want. And also, it just shouldn't be like a standardized survey. Every company should have their own structures based on what they want. So what is it that you want to ask the employees? And you can't ask the same questions to everybody. So you got to segment them out basis different roles or generations or different criteria which match or matter to you. And that's how you identify what they want. Awesome. So I'm going to move the next question. I'm going to start with you, Jackie. So how do you actually design a rewards and recognition strategy? If I'm designing an R&R program, what are the key things I need to keep in my mind?
Well, one basic thing, usually, it's the budget. We have to have the budget for it.
The
first.
budget.
Yes. But before you get into the budget piece, you need to have a good project plan to identify what are the things that you need to work on. Now, when you are doing a project, and mind you, I know that there are a lot of HR practitioners in this forum right now. In this day and age, we are called to be project managers. We are, given that we are in the technology piece, right? So when we are creating the program, one of the things that we need to understand are the population of workers, the headcount that we're looking at, what type of, based on your, engagement survey or anything that catch feedback from your employees, what are those that you are taking from there? And then baseline that and create a very powerful presentation for your, senior leadership and get their buy-in that it has its own takeaways.
Yeah, love that. I'm going to move to Hazel. What are your thought processes around designing the recognition program?
Yeah. So, for me to be able to answer that, I'd like to give a quick background of the company. I know I talk about the scale of our organization. We also have what we call our operating philosophy, and this includes visibility to drive velocity and therefore creating value for our clients and our customers. For our clients and our employees. Having said that, it's as head of HR, it's important for us to understand how we can position every initiative which requires investment. To Jackie's point, it always has to be approved by our CFO, and we have to put together a business case. Some things that we consider, of course, the design of the program has to be aligned to the company or the business objective and culture. So that's number one. And then the second, it has to be aligned to the employee's demography. So key factors that we consider first is actually the flexibility for personalization, right? So as you can imagine, having 100,000 game changers with several dependents, their preferences vary a lot. depending on either the age group or where they are in their life cycle or even their personal preferences, which also varies a lot. The second is about transparency of data. I talk about this a lot because, again, visibility is one of our operating principles. So transparency of data. If you want to achieve an optimum, achieve your optimum investment out of the initiatives or projects that you are presenting, it has to have this functionality because this influences the behavior and the performance of your leaders and your expected participants for the program. And then the last one, of course, is a tool. The tool is actually an enabler. It's not one of the functions, but it is a critical requirement for us to be able to carry out those first two aspects in the design of our program.
No, I love it. So just to kind of summarize to Jackie's point, you need to plan it right. So there needs to be like a project plan which is created, and then of course the budgeting becomes important. And to your point, I think it is important to one, link it to your culture. Second, create personalized mechanisms. And I think generally overall drive it through technology or a tool. Would love to hear from you, Clark, around effective strategies to design a good recognition program.
Going last is hard. You already said everything. Agree.
Anything you might want to add as well?
Yeah, I
From your
would.
personal experiences in organizing.
Yeah, I would double click on technology, perhaps tech-enabled rewards and recognition. So our flagship digital platform for engagement, rewards, and recognition is called the SM Life app. We are on our 4th release of that application. You'll hear more about it towards October Q4 of this year. Very proud of the work that's gone into that application. And it's our unified platform for coaching, exchanging kudos cards, and lifestyle-aligned perks that are also linked to SM's business, right? Not just any perks, but those that are really linked to SM. So having all of that in one custom platform makes it easy for us to make sure that growth and recognition is visible on a day-to-day basis. But that also makes it easy for us to design R&R programs that are linked to learning, coaching, and culture priorities. So you had a segment about culture-based recognition. Also right up our alley. That's something that we're very, very big on. And yeah, I think making sure that your R&R is linked to your culture imperatives makes it easy for recognition to be earned rather than it just being linked to routinary day-to-day actions. I think that's what I would add.
Yeah, no, you made a really good point about learning-based rewards, and a lot of us struggle to have employees complete their trainings, mandatory trainings, optional trainings, do different learning programs. So linking recognition to that really helps in driving effective utilization of those programs. So this time you're going to go first. So my next question. So we spoke about how do we create a program, right? We created a program, great. Implemented it, great. How do you make people actually use it? So what are the effective technology or effective mechanisms to drive better adoption for all our recognition programs?
Right. So for me, it's very hard to downplay the importance of simplicity in your design. So first and foremost, make sure that the program in itself is designed in a way that's very simple, easy to get, self-explanatory. I would say number 2 would be to make sure that it's mobile first. That sounds like a very tactical thing, but nothing beats having the program accessible at your fingertips, right? And then in terms of adoption, I would say making sure that there is strong leadership support for any program that you're rolling out. If you have that, that's like half of the battle already, right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, great. And I agree to your point that one, it needs to be super simple. If it's very complicated, people are just going to be confused how to use it. And of course, having an adoption of technology helps. I'm going to move this question to you, Hazel. And I think you've had and so I know we work with you guys, you have very high adoption rates. And it's one of my favorite case studies that 100,000 people have like crazy 90% plus adoption rates. So would love to hear from you, what has been helpful in driving adoption?
So when it comes to adoption, it really boils down to user interface and user experience of the tool that enabled the program. We talked about the design of the program. That's just one factor. But if you do not have the right tool to carry out and implement the design of your program, it will not get adopted. Probably after the launch, it will get adopted for a short time. But the key, we measure adoption as one of our success metrics. And definitely, it's not just adoption after the launch, but it has to be adopted for a long time for us to be able to consider it as a successful program.
Got it. So I think making that as a leadership mandate or like a success metric becomes important, because then if everybody's success depends on the adoption, then everyone starts doing things which help drive better adoption. Over to you, Jackie. What are your thought processes on driving adoption?
Okay, so for me, echoing from what Hazel said, it has to be user-friendly. So, and then set the expectation that your expectation will not be met the first time you use it. Right? Because everything tends to be modified in the process, and how fast is your partner or your partner vendor, if you're working with one, or your tech guys who's preparing it or who's maintaining it, can transform it to be fitted to what you need. Because as you get to use whatever system you're using, you need to have continuous feedback around it and be able to modify immediately any changes that people would suggest that you need to do. So it's not, no vendor you will find that will be easily fitted to your organization. It's a growing thing, right? But as you move forward with the implementation and you have a good partner that actually moves with you fast enough, very responsive, then you'll have a good adoption rate, because the moment that employee gives their feedback, the moment that they share all of these things to you and you react to it and improve on it, I think that's a good thing, and you'll have early adoption.
Yeah, you made a great point on speed. So
Sorry.
you made a great point on the speed of execution. That the moment you see certain things not working that well, how quickly you're able to switch it over and kind of take feedback seriously and implement that. I think that's a great point as well. So now we spoke about adoption, right? We've run the program. I think just again doubling down on feedback. How do we analyze the effectiveness of our program? So what are the right metrics, or what analytics should we look at when we're evaluating the success of your program? How do you know a program is successful versus whether it's not? And anything in your organization or your previous organizations you've tried and it has worked, which you want to share with the audience?
Yeah, so when we implemented our R&R, what we did is actually look at our audit logs. First is the number of visits to the site, and which department. And then you hype on that, making sure that how come they're doing it or they're visiting the site better than others. What caught their interest? Which of the portion or page of the site you think they're more visiting, and take that as a feedback. Moreover, every time that they avail of any of those rewards or anything of that, how do you make sure that you hype up on that? So in our experience, there were a lot of availment in terms of digital currency conversion rather than, And then there are also a lot of availment in pet-friendly products. And that goes to show what kind of demographics we have that we would want. So we told our vendor that, we wanted more pet products, pet care store affiliation, so that people can directly, instead of converting them to digital currency and then moving towards, pet care, directly, they are partnered with vendors that provides pet care products. So that shortening of the process actually makes it more enjoyable for people to avail those kind of benefits. So that's how we go about that.
No, that's great. And again, identifying where people are using it and how you can add more options similar to what people are using helps. And that's great. How about you, Clark? You've been running internal programs. Would love to understand how you've been, because when you're running things internally, it's a little harder to kind of track the metrics because everything is your own, everything is related to your own business. So how are you, kind of assessing the success of your programs?
Right. Well, to be clear, our HR technology stack, it's a mix. So we have internally developed platforms. In particular, that's the SM Live app. We built that in partnership with our IT team internally. Other key elements of our HR tech stack, we partner with key vendors, right? Best in class. So for us, I think in terms of tracking metrics, we tend to keep it simple. So for the SM Live app, we look at feature utilization and we segment that by user segment. Just like what Jackie mentioned, you need to take a look at what pockets of your population are finding more valuable in a certain platform, right? So we take a look at that as our lead metric. From a lab metric standpoint, we also make sure that we're tracking the main metrics that we look overall as HR. So we look at attraction. Is there any impact to our ability to hire people based off of these programs? Is there an improvement in our ability to develop talent more quickly? Is there an improvement in our ability to retain talent better, right? So we take a look at that. I think another thing that I am thinking deeply about with our team is taking a look at ROI at the stack level. Right? It's cool to work with your vendor partner to arrive at that one magic number for that HCM ROI or that rewards platform ROI. But I think we're at the point in SM where it's really exciting to imagine, I wonder what the cost of the overall tech stack is. And what is that magic number across all of the platforms so that we can better guide our decisions moving forward now that there's so much to think about with AI, agentic AI, etc.
Yeah, and linking that all to retention is, I think, the gold star metric as for everybody, right? So over to you, Hazel. Which metrics does Concentrix look at when you're evaluating the success of your recognition program?
So top three that I can share. One is adoption rate or the utilization rate, and we don't need a survey obviously for this. We have a lot of data that we analyze, and similar to what Jackie said, we analyze by department, by account, even by site. So that it would allow us to shape any additional plans that we need to do in terms of campaign or communication. The second one is CSAT, or the customer satisfaction. And our customers here obviously are our leaders and our game changers. And then the last one is our ability to meet the expected outcome when we presented this business case to the top management. So, and these are what we call as the metrics that are aligned to the overall goal for investing in this initiative. So, for example, if we say that this will improve X percentage of the performance for this account, then we continuously monitor that along the way. Or if we, the common items that I usually include is a percentage of improvement in our Your Voice survey result. So there's a question there about recognition, and I provide them some information or the trend of our recognition result in that survey year on year. The other one could be retention.
Nice. So a lot of them. So utilization rates, redemption rates. I think you also spoke about CSAT. That's interesting. Taking customer feedback, because happy employees make happy customers. So that's great. And putting that as part of your survey, of course, is something which is very, very important. Great, and just I think from a Q&A standpoint, I'm still going to start with you. So from a Q&A standpoint, Hazel, which upcoming trends and technologies do you think will redefine recognition programs? What do you think is the future of recognition? What is it that we can do better and will happen in the future according to you?
So I really think that AI is a real opportunity in this space, and it can be considered as a game changer. So I talked about flexibility for personalization earlier. When we move into AI space, or we use AI to enable our recognition program, it can create hyper-personalization. Because AI can analyze the data already, even link it to our Workday as our HRIS tool and identify what are the needs of our employees based on, for example, their age group, are they married, are they single? So AI can definitely look into that already. And then the second is, again, visibility is very important for us. So real-time transparency of data. If the platform, the rewards and recognition platform is connected to not just our HRIS system, but to all the other tools that we have, it can already read the performance of the individual. It can even do predictive analysis and identify the motivation for rewards.
Yeah, absolutely. Technology, AI is the future, and visibility and transparency, of course, adds to the whole piece.
And the last one, I think that you forgot to mention, is the efficiency that AI can bring into the HR organization, because it can really simplify the process. With agentic AI, it can already do some of the tasks that our team is doing.
Correct. Absolutely. It's very efficient that way. Jackie.
So for me, the future of rewards and recognition focuses on two things. One, mobility. Second, time. When you speak about mobility, with people working just about anywhere, the availability on those mobile environment is critical. Whether it's learning, whether it's rewards and recognition, or any other tool that is made available for your employees. Second is time, responsiveness, right? When it is needed, whether it's your HMO benefit or whether it's you need people to learn now so they could be your next successor, is also of the essence. So looking at those 2 points, if you look at what is needed, I think, more and more we should focus on mobility and time. So that's about that.
Especially with everybody having smartphones, smart devices today, mobility, and nobody has time anymore. I mean, nobody has the patience to even stand in line today, which is why we have delivery options. So yeah, so that is definitely the future. What do you think, Clark, is the future of recognition?
So in terms of trends, I would say 3. Deeper people analytics in terms of what will drive engagement in the near, mid, and long term. Right? I think for all of the strides that we've made in terms of people analytics, I have a feeling that we're just barely scratching the surface. Right? So that's 1. Number 2 would be agentic AI, obviously. Right? That's our buzzword now. After Gen AI, it's now agentic AI. And then number 3, I am personally interested in immersive technology, XR, and how it can be applied to create compelling shared rewards and recognition experiences. Yeah.
That's interesting. Immersive technology is also, I think it's really...
It's nearing maturity.
It is there. And a lot of the advanced data analytics you're talking about will come from immersive technology as well. So they're all interrelated if you think about it, honestly. Great. So hold on to the mic. So now we're done with the standard panel questions. Let's go to some fun questions and do a rapid fire question. So starting with you, Clark. What is the one myth which everybody has about HR according to you, which is absolutely incorrect?
I think there are still people who think that HR is predominantly administrative tasks, right? And really, I think today HR is really the transformation of work. That's our focus now. Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think, Jackie? One myth about HR which is wrong.
That we cannot be project managers, that we cannot lead a team that would actually implement something. Right? So there's that thought that we need to set up a project team for this. Right? So more simplified tools that you can adopt actually just need a few people within your HR team to start with. So there's no elaborate team that needs to start off just to get a system in place.
Yeah, well, we've worked with a lot of HRs. HRs are the best project managers. We work with project managers as well. What I like about the community in terms of working with them is they focus on getting the job done and getting the job done in time. Whereas with a lot of project managers, they focus on the billable hours or the number of hours they're putting in to just close it. I think that's an absolutely bang-on point which you made about myths which are wrong. How about you, Hazel?
That HR is just a job, it's like a walk in the park. But little did they know that it's a park without trees, without green grass.
Yeah, absolutely.
There are challenges, especially when you deal about people. It's not that easy. It's not something that you just read in the book and you can plug and play. So
It's actually all over the place, right? So it is end-to-end, right, from people management to, it's not just hiring, it's also learning, development. There's a lot of, there's so much depth in terms of even analytics. People analytics is such a complicated function and it's not easy at all, absolutely. So my next rapid fire question, we're going to start with you, Jackie. What is your superpower that makes you so good at what you do? And obviously reaching where you've reached today, you must have a superpower.
Okay, what's a superpower? Wait, I'll get my stone and swallow it and say, Darna for the Filipinas that are here. I don't like to mention Wonder Woman, right? So I think, superpower, we're very, very adaptive, right? That flexibility, that amount of flexibility, the willingness to adapt to the changing environment. Right now there's so much focus on HR analytics and using those analytics to speak of what is needed to change in the organization. And that data actually rests majorly in HR. So very strongly, we need to put that forward, speak of it. We're always like the silent partner in the boardroom sometimes until we are asked. But, it's time for HR to actually step in and say, this is what we think based on the data that we have, that, to move forward with.
So I think presenting yourself as the strong person you are, a lot of times we know things, but we don't tell that, we don't show it in the right way, and that becomes a barrier to our success.
Yeah, but don't forget that also patience is a virtue. So all HR have that all the time, right? So, yeah.
How about you, Hazel? What is the one superpower that has put you where you are today?
I'll say resilience. Resilience and strategic thinking. I think at my level, in managing a large organization, it really requires these two. A lot of the things are actually being done by the team, but the direction and the strategies should actually be coming from the head of the people solutions, and it has to be aligned always to the culture, to the objective of the business, and to the needs of the game changers.
So it's all about getting things done, even if it means not doing everything yourself. Love that. How about you, Clark? What is your one superpower?
Right, so I'm going to gargle responses again, being the last person to answer. Okay, so
Next one, you first again. So.
Patience and grit. Okay. So I would say a lot of the time, technology can feel like technology is like this tangled ball of yarn that's very difficult to make sense of. And it's rapidly evolving, and at the same time, you have to find that intersection between the technology and the employee life cycle, right? So the people component of things. So I think the superpower is having that grit and patience to really sit down and think through that problem. Not everyone has that. And I'm glad that in our team in HR, we have a lot of good team members who have equally that same amount of grit and passion to think through technology problems. Yeah.
So you're saying you're very smart, and that helps.
Patient, not necessarily smart, but I'd like to think, yeah.
No, but it's okay. If you're smart, you should call it out. You are smart.
Yes, we're all smart, right?
Yeah, we're all smart. No, I love that. Okay, so next question, we're going to start with you, Clark. If you were not in HR, what profession would you be in? What would you be doing?
Yeah, so I am a certified CrossFit Level 1 coach. So I'll probably move into fitness coaching.
Wow, okay.
I will admit that I'm not a very good runner, Jackie.
I was going to say that. We should do marathons together.
I think you need to school me on how to properly run. It's a running joke that CrossFit people don't like running, so but I'll probably fall back to fitness coaching. Yeah.
Awesome. Jackie, would you be a marathoner? What would you be if you were not in HR?
I'll probably be a politician.
Oh my God.
I'll be the next congresswoman of Laguna, probably. Yeah, something like that. I think that because kidding aside, politicians have big impact on people in a massive scale. So me being in the organization, smaller scale, bigger scale, being a congresswoman, right? Thank you.
Retirement plans. Yeah. How about you?
I know Jackie very well. That's why I was saying it fits her. So I would have been an interior designer.
Wow.
Yeah, I liked drawing when I was young. I thought I'm going to be an architect, but even at this day, I find peace whenever I organize or design or decorate my home. And my husband keeps asking me, why do you always watch HGTV every day? I just like it. It satisfies me, and it actually helps in my well-being.
No, I would love to see pictures of your home as well and see how amazing you've done a job there. Great. I think we're also out of time and we're also done with the questions. Thank you so much to the panelists for coming, and thank you to the audience who've been lovely. And they're here, so if you want to talk to them after the panel, please, they're I think sitting there. So they're happy to get connected to everybody. Thank you.